Want to get to know a little bit more about me? Come and check out my answers to 10 questions for Friday Sews. Hi YouTube, I'm Crystal of Crystalsewsandstuff.com. Welcome back to the channel today. I'd like to welcome all of my new subscribers and all of you returning viewers today. So today I'm going to be answering 10 questions to the Friday Sews Get to Know Friday Sews questions that Jen of Jen Sewing Room created. So Jen of Jen Sewing Room is the person who created Friday Sews, which is just a relaxed sewing challenge where you just kind of say what you're doing, what you're getting up to in your sewing world. So the first question is, what is your name? And my name is Crystal, and my channel name is Crystal Sews and Stuff is because I like to sew. Sometimes I like to knit, and sometimes I like to share a little bit about my life here and there. So that's why I came up with the channel name Crystal Sews and Stuff. But the main thing I like to do is sew. So that's my name. And then the next question is, where are you from? And I'm from Maryland. So I was born in DC, and I grew up near the DC side in Maryland. So PG County, Maryland, if you're familiar with Maryland. So that is where I'm from. And then I went to college and law school in Virginia. And then I moved back to Maryland, and then I met my husband, and he's from Baltimore. So we did live closer to DC at first when we first got married, and then we moved up to Baltimore for his job about 12 years ago. So no, 13, almost 14 years ago. So I've been up in this area for quite a while now. So I live closer to Baltimore, but still in Maryland. And so the next question is, how long have you've been sewing? So I've been sewing about 8.5 years total. So when my oldest son was taking a basketball class at a rec, and then a lady was selling, had a little mini yard sale right by our house near where the rec center was, and I bought a sewing machine from her for $20, and it was a mechanical sewing machine by the white company. I don't have it anymore. I gave it to my niece. But that's when I first started sewing. I would just sew really basic stuff. The first thing I sewed was like these little arm cuffs for an Incredibles costume that we did when my youngest was a little baby. So that was a lot of fun. Then I just did a lot of crafty things. So I just like anything that was super simple, just sewing straight lines. And I didn't sew anything close to a regular basis. I would just sew when I felt like making something or fixing something. So, but I decided then I didn't get into garment sewing till about 2016 or 17, and so that's when I went. Yeah, I think it was 2017 is when I started taking a sewing class, and that's when I really started falling in love with sewing, and I just loved garment sewing. I would say I've been sewing about 5 years total. Seriously, garment sewing for about 5 years. So that is my next. So that's the how long have you been sewing question. So the next question is, what are your machines? So my main machine is this Bernina 880, and my husband bought this for me I think in 2018, and it was a refurbished one from Bernina. I also have a Viking 670, and I'll put a picture here, and that is the main sewing machine I would take back and forth to class. That was my first real sewing machine that I bought after I had the first mechanical machine. So that was the first one I bought, and I bought that one from Joanne. So that's a Viking Opal 670. It's a really good machine. It was the main one that I took to sewing classes. And then I also have a Bernina Record 830, and it is I think it's from the 70s, and I bought that off of Facebook Marketplace just because I wanted a mechanical machine that had a little bit more stitches. And so I also have the Singer machine. This is a Singer 301, and it is from 1952 or 3, and I bought this at Savers. It was on sale, and I got it for $35, and it's in really good condition. I like that one as well. Sews perfectly. I do need to get my 2 older machines serviced. I haven't had them officially serviced yet, but I did dust them off and clean out the insides and re-oiled them and everything. So those are my 2 like older machines. So I also have my Baby Lock Imagine Serger that I just love this serger, and I've had this for about 3 to 4 years now, and I just absolutely love this serger. It has the automatic air threading. I know they have a lot more out now that have the air threading, but I think this was the first brand that had the automatic air threading. And so I love this song. I love this serger. And then I also have the Janome Cover Pro 900 CPX, and I bought this off of somebody who was selling it on patternreview.com, so this wasn't new. And I honestly don't use it that much. I'm still learning it because I still get a lot of tunneling with the cover stitch machine that I hadn't really figured out how to do. So, but these are the two other machines that I use. Okay, so the next question is self-taught or formal classes. And formal classes for me. So I did do a little bit of self-taught things, not a lot, before I started taking formal sewing classes. So I believe I started formal sewing classes. It was either 2017 or 16. I'm not totally sure, but I think 17 that I started taking sewing classes at the Sassy Sewer. And I did a video with my sewing teacher a couple years right around when I first started the channel about 3 years ago. And so you can check out that video if you want to learn more about my sewing teacher. And so anyway, I did take formal classes and I got up to level 6. There are 7 levels and I was up to level 7, but I wasn't able to finish the last level. And the name of the classes are the You Can Make It series, and it takes you step by step by step. And these are my little these are the patches that you get when you complete a level. So I have those up on my bulletin board over there. So I have 6 levels of patches for that class. I really loved the class because it taught me step by step how to sew. So we started on an elastic waist skirt, and then we did a skirt with the waistband and a zipper, and then we did a top, and then we did a top without closures, and then we did a top with buttons, and then we did pants, and then I can't remember what we did. We did a dress. You had to do a dress with two parts, so with a separated bodice from the skirt part. And then finally there was a blazer, and I'm still working on that blazer. And the blazer had well pockets. So those are the different levels that the classes that I had, the class that I took had. So I really enjoyed that class, and I do recommend people take in-person classes if they can, and if you can't, there are some really good sewing classes that you can take. I think Mimi G's Sew It Academy are the closest thing as far as an online series of classes that you can take that teaches you step by step by step by step. So yes, I did formal classes, so I'm not a self-taught. So it's my grandmother did try to teach me when I was a little girl, but I just wasn't into it. She tried. I just wasn't into it that much. And then I did take one class at Joann's, and we did make little tissue holders, so a little crafty thing. So, but I did my formal classes at the Sassy Sewer is where I primarily learned how to sew. So the next question is knits or wovens, and I prefer wovens. My favorite, I would say, is probably rayon, challis, or crepe, or cotton sateen. So those are my kind of 3 favorites for wovens, and I like the structure of it. And you can just kind of, I just like I don't know, I like wovens a little bit more than knits, but I do enjoy sewing knits too because they're usually faster. And I think I like wovens a little bit more because if you make a mistake with a knit and you have to unpick a knit, it's just horrible. But if you make a mistake with a woven, it's easier to unpick and redo most of the time, unless you're doing something like faux leather or something like that. But for the most part, wovens are easier to correct as you go. Knits take forever to unpick, so I think that would be the deciding factor for me for knits versus wovens. So I'm gonna go with wovens for that question. So the next question is Big 4 or Indies. And if you don't know, the Big 4 are your Vogue, McCall's, Butterick, and Simplicity. And then you can also add on New Look and Quick Sew to that because now they're all one conglomerate company now because they all merged. And then you have Independent Indie, which is for independent pattern companies. So for me, it's really a toss-up. It was really a toss-up. So I like the quickness that you can make with the Big 4. So you can just cut out the pattern, and usually once you get to know your sizing in the Big 4, it's about the same for all of them. Same pattern adjustments you usually have to make with a pattern for the Big 4. I like that about the pattern. And I like not having to tape or trace or send out to have it printed out for the big four. You just cut it out and just you go for it. Make a little couple of alterations that you usually have to make, and you just go for it. And then they also have a lot more. They tend to keep up with the styles a lot, so I do like the big four for that. Especially Vogue. Vogue usually keeps up with the big four. So Vogue would be my favorite of the big four pattern companies, even though it's technically all one company now. So I also still do love independent patterns because they come out with different unique styles. I like the ones that are, I like independent pattern companies that are more unique. So people that come, so some of my favorite pattern companies are Love Notions, because I like the nice casual vibe that they have to their sewing patterns. I also like Megan Nielsen's patterns. Who else do I like? I like Tilly and the Buttons patterns. I like Style So Me. So I really love a lot of independent pattern companies too, because they have just unique designs as well. So, and I also like to support smaller companies. So one thing that I like about indie patterns is that if you print it out and you cut out the wrong side, you can just print it out again and start it over. And I know a lot of people don't like taping the patterns, but a lot of times I will order from PDF plotting, and sometimes I'll just go ahead and tape it together. It just depends on how big the pattern is. And so I like the quickness that you can get from a PDF pattern. So if you see it and you love it, you can just go ahead and print it out, tape it together, and you have it that day. You don't have to go to 3 different stores to try to find the pattern. It's not out of stock. So, and you always have it. So if you gain or lose weight, you could just reprint out another size that, you know, in that same pattern. So I do like that about it. And then you don't have the guilt of cutting into your good into your pattern piece. So I don't really like tracing patterns. I will sometimes, depending on what it is, and if I know I'm probably going to have to make a lot of adjustments, I will trace out a pattern as far as the big four, but I don't like doing that. Sometimes I'd rather just tape it and just cut it out. And if I mess it up, oh well, you know, I still have it. You don't have to worry about ruining your pattern. But I also like pattern magazines and book patterns. So I have a lot of Burda magazines, and I do like Burda magazines, and because they have a lot of fashion forward. I think Burda is the most fashion forward of all of the pattern companies. They have a lot, they stay in touch with what's going on with the runway. And then they also have a lot of classic style. So I do like pattern magazines. And the same thing is, you know, I just don't really love tracing, but I'll do it, and if I want to have a particular style. And the thing is, with Burdas, you have to trace it, and so after you trace it, you have it, and you still get to keep all the sizes, so you don't have to worry about, again, ruining your pattern. But it forces you to go ahead and trace out the pattern, but you still get to keep all the sizes. So I do like that about pattern magazines and books that come with the patterns included. So for me, it's just a toss-up. I just love different patterns. I love big four patterns, I love independent patterns, and magazine and book patterns. So the next question is online shopping or in store. And I love shopping in store. So I do like online shopping sometimes, just because sometimes you can find different options than you can find in store. But overall, I enjoy shopping in store. And my favorite places to go are New York City Garment District. So I've been up to New York a few times on bus trips, as well as just with my husband. We've gone a couple times to the New York City shopping district, and I just love all the options. I love going in the store and feeling the fabric and touching the fabric. So my favorite is in-store shopping. So I definitely prefer in-person shopping versus online shopping, but I will go ahead and do online shopping as well, because sometimes you can just find exactly what you're looking for online, and so I like that about it. And you get to kind of go through the fabrics quicker online. I don't know how to explain it, but I prefer in-store shopping. So the next question is your favorite sewing task, and like pressing, cutting, types of stitching. And I would say my favorite would be pressing, I would guess, because I just like the crispness that you get when you sew. It kind of it can change the look of your fabric if you press as you go. I would say maybe that's the best one. I would say the next one is I enjoy the result that I get when I pattern match, like matching stripes and matching plaids. Even though I like dread it at the beginning, I'm always super happy with the result when I decide to go ahead and pattern match or match stripes or plaids. Even though it's a pain, but I love it. It's just like, I don't know. It's a weird thing that I like. I like matching up stripes and plaids sometimes. So I would say pressing is probably number one, and then the one that I love to hate is stripes and plaid matching, because I just love the final result. I just love the final result of when I match plaids or prints or something like that perfectly. I get a little thrill from that. I know that's weird, but that's how it is. So the last question is your best advice to sewers, and I would say just go ahead and just sew a lot. Sew a lot, you know, or sew often, just to get, that's how you can build on your skill. So even though I took sewing classes, I would just come home from classes and I would try to sew something that week until I got to my next sewing class. So I would just practice and just keep practicing and practicing. And the more you sew, the better you'll get. You'll just get better and better and better. I'm not the most expert sewer in the whole world, but I do enjoy sewing, and so I would just sew a lot, and over time my skills just improved. I have to use the seam ripper less. I used to have to use it all the time, but now I don't have to use it as much. You know, I still have to rip out things, I still make mistakes, but I would just say just sew a lot and just go for it, and don't be afraid to try something new or different. And just go ahead and get some fabric and just go for it and try it. I mean, because nothing beats a failure but a try. You got to keep trying. So that would be my advice to sewers, especially beginner sewers. Just if you want to learn something, just go for it. Look it up online. Take an online sewing class. I didn't start sewing until I was, you know, way later in life, because I'm in my mid-40s now. So that's why I took sewing classes, because I didn't want to I wanted to get a head start. I wanted to learn. But basically, I just, you know, just go for it. Go for what you want. And that's my advice in general in life, is if you want something, just go for it. Because you don't want to live with a bunch of regrets. You know, life's too short. Just go ahead and go for it and just keep practicing. And then if you get tired of it, take a break. Come back to it. But just keep going and going and going and going, and you will just get better and better and better. So even though I took sewing classes, I still sew a lot on my own. I just like to go ahead and just try stuff, you know. And if you see a pattern that you want to try, just go for it. Yeah, you might screw it up, but just do it again, you know. So just try. All you have to do is try. Nothing beats a failure but a try. You just got to keep going for it. So that is just my advice to sewers, is just keep sewing and just go for it. So the bonus question was, how did you find out about Friday Sews? And that's because I followed Jen of Jen's Sewing Room, and so she did the Friday Sews, and then I started seeing other people pop up with the Friday Sews videos, and so I decided to join in last week, and so this is my second one. And so I've been enjoying everyone's Friday Sews videos, and I'll leave a link to Jen's channel so you can go ahead and check her out. And so anyway, go ahead and check her out, as well as check out the hashtag Friday Sews here on YouTube, so you can find out more, so you can find more and more sewers in the sewing community. All right, thank you so much. Take care.